What's up, everybody? You are listening to Come On Man, a 3% Man podcast. I'm your host, Paul Bauer, and I am on the road to being a 3% man just like you. If you're new to the show, this is a podcast for fellow students of Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man, and for men who just want to be better in general. We talk about dating, gaining wealth, being happy, and using the law of attraction to get everything we want in life. How the hell are you, my 3% brothers? Thanks again for joining me for another episode of Come On Man. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe and give us one of those 5-star reviews. All right, this week I had a one-on-one conversation with the founder of the 3% Man Facebook group, Chris Kokoski. He was the first one of the admins to get out of the plate spinning rat race and jump into an exclusive relationship. And since I've been exclusive with Marine Corps Chick for a little while now, I thought it'd be good to talk to Chris about the exclusive/long-term relationship parts of the 3% Man book and how they differ from the casual dating parts. So stay tuned because that conversation is coming up right after this.
Sure.
All right, this week I have with me Chris Kokoski. Do I pronounce that right, Chris? Is it Kokoski?
That is the correct Polish pronunciation, but my dad raised me to say Kokoski, so that's what I go by.
Kokoski, Chris Kokoski. Okay, try to remember that. You've got one of those names that I have a hard time with.
Sure, I totally understand.
My mom, growing up, was the worst when it came to names.
Yeah.
I had a music teacher named Miss Sorwide, and my mom always butchered it. She would always call her Miss Sorbide. And I'm like, Mom, for the love of God, you know what her name is. It's not even that hard of a name.
Right.
My mom's the worst with names. And some of that rubs off on me,
sure.
Especially with like Polish names.
They can be tricky. They can surely be tricky. That's for sure.
Well, thanks for joining me. So I reached out to you earlier this week because I thought it would be awesome to have you on and have us discuss the like exclusive long-term relationship type portions of the 3% Man book.
Yeah, man, I'm totally appreciate you inviting me on. I can't wait.
Well, yeah, and I thought of you specifically because I always refer to you as my spirit animal on the in the group because you started the group, but a lot of us, like Luke, a lot of the admins, Nathan, stuff like that, Matt, we all joined the group roughly around the same time, but you were like one of the first ones of us to break away from the plate spinning and get into a long-term relationship. You were like, I swear, like within 2 or 3 months of being creating the group, you're spoken for already.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. So
while the rest of us were still toiling in the plate spinning world, you would post like maybe, every couple of weeks, a relationship update. We were all posting our date updates and successes and failures. And you're like relationship update. And I was like, God damn, one of these days I'm going to post something like that.
Yeah.
And this week, at the time of this recording, I released the episode on how I use the law of attraction to attract Marine Corps Chick.
Yeah.
And so Marine Corps Chick, she's been on before. Her real name's Dana. So podcast listeners know that by now. Yeah. And so Dana's mom listened to it, and her brother listened to it, and stuff like that. But because I record these all ahead of time, that was like, I think that was recorded maybe a week or so before she had asked me to be exclusive. And I don't think like her mom and her brother quite understood that there's a space-time continuum here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so they were a little bit upset by some of that stuff. And
sure.
And so I had a conversation with Dana about it, and she sort of understands the space-time continuum stuff. And but one of the things I tell her is that, like in the 3% Man book, the whole book runs the gambit of a relationship from the early days of dating, dealing with like flaky women, because like that's a
Mm-hmm.
very real thing when you're
Oh
just
yeah.
in the dating world and stuff like that. I go, but once it starts getting into the relationship stuff, like a lot of those rules or the techniques and stuff that coach talks about changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to become more of a giving process and
Mm-hmm.
trying to be a better person for your partner. And so
Yeah, absolutely.
so after having that conversation with her, I was like, you know what, I need to do an episode on how that differs.
Yeah.
So before we really kind of get into it, I want to get your take. So how long have you been with what's your woman's name, or does she have a nickname? I don't think you've
Yeah,
ever.
she her name's Nadia. Yeah, we've been
Nadia. Okay.
together for exclusive for 5 months. It'll be 6 months as of December 19th, and odds are she'll probably end up listening to this. So,
Okay.
hey Nadia, hey baby, love
Hey,
you.
shout out to Nadia.
Yeah, so we've been together then, and yeah, so we've been together for a while. So I've had some experience, applying the techniques of the book and to an exclusive relationship, which honestly was completely new ground for me.
Mhm.
I have had, I can say that I've never had a healthy relationship based on, as I learned and my definition of what a good and healthy relationship, how that's evolved after reading the book multiple times, and just going out and having experiences. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever had a healthy relationship with a woman before. This one is the healthiest and best relationship that I've had. So it was
Okay.
completely new ground. So I was just really trying. I was completely green, a newbie, trying to figure out how, like
Yeah.
as you said, what to apply of the techniques. How do I do it? How do I balance holding back versus giving of
Mhm.
myself? So, and I don't think I've mastered any of it, but I think I've learned some things.
I don't know if we'll ever truly master it. I mean,
I don't think so.
we might,
Yeah,
but I mean,
maybe.
Coach talks about in the book that it took him, he felt like a year before he felt like he had mastered it. But
Yeah.
then even after that, he talks about stuff where he got complacent and
Right.
messed things up. I feel like that's just human nature, like,
I agree.
now I would say that out of all the long-term relationships I've ever had, uh, I feel like they always start off well. But where I feel like I go wrong, or gone wrong in the past, is I get complacent,
hmm
and I just sort of get to a place where you get to a routine. You stop doing the stuff you've done from the beginning,
Yep.
and it just becomes like people just end up being like your roommate, and that
Yeah.
attraction level goes away. And that's one of the things that I've learned from the book, is that you need to sort of keep that spark alive and always do what you've done from the beginning. But I'm still new myself in this exclusive relationship stuff, because at the time of this recording, Dana and I, we've uh, we've only been exclusive for, it will be 2 months here on the first, and then we dated for almost a month before that. But because she lives so close, it was a little bit easier to, after doing the once a week thing, to get into like a twice a week thing and stuff like that.
hmm
So we spent a little bit more time together than I think it's probably recommended initially,
Right.
but still, it wasn't more than, like, I would say two times a week or whatever like
Right.
that. But we got to that, sixth and seventh date, where they talk about, like, women start bringing up, exclusivity and stuff like that.
hmm
I felt like we got to that relatively quickly,
Yeah.
um, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but
No, I think there's, general timelines that coach talks about. And then I think he also says, that, each relationship can be a little different.
mhm.
And I think it's probably just, just a matter of, her attraction for you and the health, your attraction for each other, but her attraction for you and how she moves things along.
Yeah,
So you're at that, I guess it's the 90 day
yeah,
uh,
pretty close.
period, and moving into, I guess, the 6 months. because I know coach talks about, how long it might take to authentically know someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I thought of when I was right in that same kind of time period.
Yeah.
And everything's gone very well. But yeah, I remember thinking about that. But that's cool. I'm very happy for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, Dana and I talked about that. I said, let me ask you that. So, with you and your girlfriend,
Yeah.
have you talked to her about 3% man stuff, or do you just keep that under
No, no,
wraps?
I absolutely have talked to her about it. Yeah, she
Okay.
knows
Yeah, I was
quite a bit
curious
about it.
about that because there's some guys on the page that are like, absolutely shouldn't talk about it. Because women don't understand it, they get mad about it and stuff like that, which some women definitely do.
Sure.
But I feel like, I mean, one, I can't hide it. I got this big fucking podcast mic right
Right.
here, and so like when
Right.
she comes over, if anyone comes over, they're like, "What's that mic?" My kids to see it, they all want to play with it and stuff.
Yeah.
My daughter's all thinking about having her own podcast now because
Cool.
there's this big mic just sitting here, just calling
Right.
everyone's name.
There you go.
So I can't hide it. I can't be like, oh yeah, I do a podcast on technology. Oh yeah, really? What's that podcast? Shit, because that's a lie.
Now what?
Don't want to get caught in a lie. So yeah, I don't feel like I could, even if I wanted to, keep it a secret.
Sure.
But I feel like in Benny's talked about it too. Like, and he's got his own coaching business, and his fiance like helps him with it and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's really cool.
he's like, you have to be with a woman that's on board, or it's just not
Right.
going to work out, because like if that's your mission, she needs to sort
Mm-hmm.
of be on board with that mission. So I was wondering, yes, so she knows about it. Would it has she like wanted to read it? Has she asked you questions? Has she argued with you about any of the principles?
So we had a conversation, I think right around that 90-day mark. And that was, this is the only relationship I've ever been in where although there's, I think every relationship has some conflict, some tension, there's not, disagreements, but I can honestly say, I don't think we've ever argued based on my definition of an argument. So, and I've never experienced that before. And I'm definitely not saying that's the definer of a healthy relationship, but that's just been my experience. But around that 90-day mark, there was some tension, and we started talking about just expectations
Yeah.
in relationships, and talking about males and females in relationships. And that obviously for me brought up the book, because that's, even though I've taught evidence-based relationship skills for 13 years, it was really the 3% Man book that laid it out all in one combined coherent strategy from beginning to end for me. So I brought up some of the ideas from the book, and I mentioned that, that some of these ideas came from that book to her. And even though I don't think she loved the ideas
Yeah.
themselves, all of them anyway. But I think she could also see that they were the value of them, if not the truth of them, the value of them,
Yeah.
and the value of them for, for our relationship in particular. So she's never argued about any of the points. She's never appeared upset about any of them. And so I basically just told her, hey, this book, she knows I've taught relationship skills. She knows I study relationship skills still, and that I got a lot of value out of the book, and that I started the 3% Man group. So she knows all that, and that in that group we share successes and failures and questions and just insights that we have. And she's all on board for all that. She's super supportive of it. I think she thinks it's pretty cool, honestly. And she is also somebody that likes to learn and develop and grow. So she follows other people, about relationship skills. But yeah, so it's so we've had conversations about it. And like I said, I told her that I was going to do this podcast today, and she was like, "Oh yeah, what's it called?" So I was like, "Yeah, it's called Come On Man." And I explained where that came from, the catchphrase from Coach, and just all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, so it's really been always been a positive thing. And I think I wanted to make sure that anybody that I was with exclusively knew about the group, because I didn't want to hide that I have this Facebook group. And because, and also, if somebody that's with me, they're going to know that I like studying communication, group dynamics, relationship skills, writing. All these things to me are all sort of the same, under the same umbrella. So I wanted to make sure that I could talk about all these things with somebody that I was with, because there's things that I'm passionate about, areas and topics I'm passionate about. And for me, I think it's something, you might have been hinting at this a moment ago. Is, to me, it's kind of a qualifier too.
Hmm.
It's, in other words, girls can disqualify themselves by getting real upset and angry about any of these ideas, because to me, if somebody got really passionately upset about it, that's fine. That's their belief, but it's just not going to work for me,
Yeah.
because this is what I believe and what I think is a healthy way to engage in a relationship. So it's been positive, and she's, from my perspective, completely on board and supportive.
That's really good. So you said you guys haven't gotten into any like serious arguments or anything like that?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of serious topics. I mean,
Yeah.
politics, religion,
Hmm.
um, dating, our definitions of cheating, past relationships, past just life experiences,
Yeah.
and all those conversations haven't always been comfortable and tension free, but they haven't been what I would consider drama, and I don't think they would be what Coach might consider drama. I
Yeah.
think there's a difference between disagreement and drama, or some tension, and just, dramatics, emotional dramatics, and anger and biting criticisms and comments. And
Hmm.
all that's human stuff that can happen. And I'm not saying it's never going to happen, because we're human.
Yeah.
But um, based on our, you know, personal goals and our personalities, we're both pretty laid back kind of people, and
Sure.
we know who we are and what we want. So I think that helps a lot too.
That's really good. So yeah, one of the things that I've found super valuable in the relationship part of the book. Well, I mean, even in the dating part of the book, uh, is really just the importance of maintaining your center no matter
Yeah.
what's going on. And I feel like I see a lot of posts from guys in the group where they lose their shit with their girlfriend.
Yeah.
Something bad will
Yeah.
happen. They'll get in some kind of argument with their lady, and they'll get really pissed about it, and it'll turn into like a big blowout, you
Yeah.
know. And uh, that used to be me. I admittedly have a bad temper, and
Yeah.
if I don't put it myself in check, like I'll absolutely lose my shit.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the things that like I've really felt myself after like having listened to the book and read the book a number of times is really just being focused on not doing that.
Hmm.
And so like after the law of attraction episode with Dana, we did have like a very serious discussion about that stuff.
Right.
And like it's really easy to be put into a defensive mode, like feeling
Very
defensive.
easy. Yeah.
Um, so I really just had it in the back of my mind, like, just be cool with this,
Mm.
just
Yeah.
maintain your center, don't get mad, keep your cool and stuff like that. And I feel like that by itself, if I did that in past relationships, would have gone so much better, like
I
things would
bet.
have been much better. And I feel like that situation, it was very helpful. And then when we did have a good discussion about it, one of the things I told her, and I feel like a lot of the difference between the initial dating process and the exclusive dating process is you do sort of want to have that open communication. I mean, when you're
Hmm.
just starting out, you kind of want to be mysterious. You want to keep your cards close to the vest
Right.
a little bit more. But when you're in that relationship, you can't always do that. You have
No.
to be open. You have to have good communication. So one of the things I told her was, look, you'll never have to worry about me not talking to you again. I'm never going to ghost you. I will, if I really lose my cool with you, and I feel like I can't talk to you right now, like in a calm matter, I'll tell
Right.
you I need some space. I'll talk to you when I'm calm, and then you're gonna have to give me that space, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll lose my shit. But
Yeah.
if you give me that space, I promise I'll come back to you and we can have a calm conversation about this stuff. So I feel like that sort of stuff goes a long way as well. That
Absolutely. I think it's excellent.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's really cool.
I don't know if you have, but I've been in relationships where you get stonewalled by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's like, I don't want to talk about it, and then, you, but you need to talk about stuff.
Right. Right.
So they're like, I don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it, and then then nothing gets settled, and then next thing you know, like, maybe if it's not right then, but 3 months down the
Mm-hmm.
road, that old shit gets brought
Yeah.
up again because it was
Right.
never settled in the first place.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Yeah.
the stuff in the book about uh, you know getting to the bottom of things, being a good listener, like really opening up your partner and getting to the bottom of what's eating at them is critical. You know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
have you had? I mean, you said you haven't had like serious arguments, but have you gotten to the point where like she's upset about something and you've had to open her up and say, well, what's eating at you and stuff? And
So yeah, even though we haven't had the arguments, the I think so the answer is yes. We've been there, and that's really because just being still relatively new, and this probably was a month or so ago, so maybe around 3 or 4 months in. She was just having a rough time. It was just a rough patch, um, and uh, but she didn't tell me right away what was going on, and I was a little curious about it. In fact, I got a there was later it's become sort of a joke, but she sent me some kind of text that I was like, well, in the past, I would have freaked out about this kind of text. It was kind of cryptic, and it
oh
was easy. It was easy to interpret it in a very negative way,
yeah,
like, oh shit, we're gonna break up or something. Like this is serious business.
yeah,
And like you said, having losing your center, that has been a big challenge for me in my life because of insecurities, jealousies, and just complete lack of knowledge of how to manage my emotions. And so I really love what you said about being centered. And I think that when we manage our own emotions so that we can be centered, everything else just becomes so much easier. I think, as far as the techniques that coach says, I think maybe easier in life too. But
hmm
speaking on the topic of dating, I think it just becomes so much easier because then we can focus on the other person instead
yeah,
of defending our ground. But so yeah, so she was having a rough patch, and she didn't want to let me know because it's still kind of new, and she didn't want to bring negativity, and she probably wasn't completely sure if how I would handle it. But and it didn't take much because she's a pretty open person. But I still, I just let her know that I cared, that I wanted her to tell me even these negative things, that I wanted to hear all of it because I cared about all of her, and I wasn't, here just for the good times and the good moments and the good feelings. All that's great, but I'm here to be a real human partner to her, and to be present for all of it. So, and just really, I think just me saying that authentically to her in a caring way, in front of her, look in her eyes, and with a calm, confident tone of voice, really what then sort of opened the bridge, created the bridge for her to. And she just shared what was going on with her, and it was fine. It's just life stuff,
hmm
and we both shared a little bit. Then that's I think that was not only a moment where she shared, but I often find myself in those kinds of situations sharing a little bit about myself too, sharing a little bit of the negativity too. And she said a couple of times on a related note that, hey, I want to hear about you and your emotions,
hmm
because again, I'm still trying to figure out the balance between sharing and holding back and giving. And
yeah,
I want to be real, but I want to be overly negative, kind of like coach says in the book. So
yeah,
and I haven't worked that balance out completely, but whenever she said it to me a couple different times over the last 5 months in different ways, and so whenever she says that, typically I'll take note of it, and either right then or soon thereafter, I'll share something that's going on, and I still won't just let it all completely out. I still try to focus things on a positive frame around things, but yeah, so I try to share a little bit. So I think just sitting there, letting her know that I care about her, and listening, as you said, I think listening is so important. And I'm really, um, again, as somebody who has studied relationship skills and taught it, for on a national scale for a while, I'm pretty impressed with what Coach has in his book, so simply, about communicating, listening, and validating.
Mm-hmm.
And he lays it out so simply, that I think it's easy to overlook the importance and the value of it, in the exclusive relationship period, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things too, I was just thinking of, so I've had Dana on before,
Yeah.
and I've told her about, there's like an aspect of the book about how um, you don't want to be like bringing like a lot of your emotional problems to your girl.
Right.
You don't want to be crying on her shoulder all the time
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And so she like sort of disagrees with that.
Sure.
She's like, no, if you're in a relationship, like it's a partnership. Like I want to be there for you. You
Right.
can't just be my rock all the time. Like I need to, and so that's one of the things that like we agree to disagree on.
Yeah.
And the way I tell her about it, I tell her how Coach explains it really is, uh, it's okay to do that a little bit,
Right.
but you still want to, you don't want her to be your like psychologist. And
Hmm.
so you should really try to like, if you do come to her with a problem, try to put a little bit of a positive spin on it and stuff like that, and then save like all the drama for your boys.
Hmm.
Kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah. Totally.
yeah, she definitely, she doesn't agree with that. She feels like, like if we're a partnership, like it's all in, like 100% on
Yeah.
both sides, which I think is real sweet of her.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, like I mean, honestly, she and I really haven't gotten into a lot of that type stuff. Although, like there's been stuff I've posted about it on the 3% Man group about
Hmm.
the child support struggles I'm having with my ex-wife now. So
Right.
some of that kind of stuff comes up,
Hmm.
and I try not to like focus on it and get off. I'll try to get off topic as quick as I
Right.
can with her about it. But that stuff does come up, and so she's very supportive. Like at the time of this recording, my ex-wife and I were going to a hearing tomorrow morning to go over some of this stuff. And so Dana's like, "Oh, do you want me to be there? I'll go to court with you and stuff." So that's like that kind of stuff is like super sweet.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But
Yeah. I think, I think I could be wrong here, of course, but I think that probably she agrees more than she might even know, that you guys might both agree more. I
mhm,
think the idea of being there and being fully supportive of each other is great. I totally agree with that.
yeah,
But the idea that any taking it off her, just in that any woman would be, um, satisfied, I'll say.
yeah,
I think they'd be willing to support a guy who cried every night, at least for a while, and brought all the negativity to them. But I think it would be wearing to anyone.
anyone, yes,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
agree.
I even as the guy who, as a man who is the symbol of the rock and the mountain and the support, um,
I agree, Chris. You are
in
my
the
rock.
relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page. I thought you'd
Okay.
never say that.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want, to be in a friendship or anywhere, with any kind of relationship where I was constantly being barraged with negativity. I just think it's not a healthy,
It's not healthy
a
for anybody.
healthy,
Yeah.
yeah, healthy dynamic. So, I think I think she's fully, I think any woman that's healthy and loves another person would probably be fully supportive, but
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means that that's a satisfying, healthy, evolving, growing relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And Coach talks about that. So I feel
Yeah.
like if Dana's mom's listening, shout out. Yeah, I feel like if they read the book and they understood the context of it better, it would make more sense. Because even Corey says in the book that if you're doing that to your boys all the time, just constantly bringing the sad stories, eventually your friends are going to be like, dude, you're fucking wearing me down.
Right.
Snap out of it,
Yeah, he's like, come on, man. It's just kind of like, in our group, if somebody's just constantly posting negative stuff all the time, it's not cool. It's like that's not what the platform is for.
Yeah.
That would be a therapist probably.
Sure.
Or a counselor or somebody like that.
Like if someone posts on the page, like maybe one post saying, I really had a tough time, guys. I need some help. And I've done that.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. I'm like, guys, I need a little, I need some positive vibes here, like, but don't overdo it. Don't like every, like 5 times a day or like every day, right. Just like, your sob story. Cause none of the guys on the page, everyone's gonna be like, dude, read the fucking book.
Right. And that's honestly, even though it's not very sensitive, maybe it is honestly probably what, we need to hear in those moments.
Yeah.
If we're doing that. Yeah. But I think the real principle behind that though is just, hey, try to take care of your problems and not just, try to do some kind of mental gymnastics where you're just lying to yourself about how positive a problem is, but literally try to see it in a positive framework. And through that framework, try to, solve it, try to resolve it, solve it, and at least, or learn from it, or take something. I think it's, outside of relationships, I think it's just more about, hey, how to be a successful person who handles problems.
Yeah.
Applied to the expression of those problems in relationships. So I think it's just really cool what all the things Coach really just put into the book.
Yeah. So like one last concept too, that it didn't even dawn on me until I read these books. And it's in like Dr. Glover talks about it in his books too. And it's a lot of that is that women don't really want men to solve their problems for them.
Right.
Have you, well, I mean, you also like dealt with like relationship counseling and stuff like that. I mean, is that something that you've always practiced, or is that something that's new since reading the book? Is that a new concept for you, or?
That was actually not a new concept for me, but it was reinforced for sure. To even though, so yeah, it wasn't new. I think I've always been more of the listener type of a person in the relationship rather than trying to solve somebody else's problems. But so that wasn't new, but it was certainly reinforced, and I think it's highly valuable, and I've seen it over and over again how valuable it can be. And I will say that I think the reinforcement and the specific techniques in the book have made me a better listener. And Nadia, my girlfriend, has commented on it on many occasions. I mean, before we were even exclusive, she said one of the things that she really liked was that I listened to her. And that she could tell that I actually cared about what she was saying.
Yeah.
And versus just seeing her as an object or just not caring.
Got it. Yeah. So that concept is 100% new to me, because I feel like it's a new concept to a lot of guys, and I feel like
I think so.
I think there's a lot of guys on the page too that haven't grasped it yet either. But especially for me, because like for my day job, I work in information technology. So my job is to find solutions to problems.
Right.
And troubleshoot and stuff like that. So in past relationships, if like, anyone ever came to me with any kind of problem, I'd be like, well, let's analyze this.
Here's what you need to do.
Yeah, you need to do this, this, and this. You need to tell that person this and this. And so that's kind of been a struggle for me. It's not like Dana's bringing me that kind of stuff. Hardly ever, but sure. If she does, I immediately want to go, well, you can, and then I just got to take a step back, and really.
Yeah, I definitely get it. No, I definitely get the temptation to do it. I mean, I think as men, we're sort of hardwired to want to, break through barriers, solve things, get things done, task oriented more than relationship oriented. So I definitely feel the pull toward all those things. So I get it, man. So yeah, I think your awareness of it, and obviously you're doing a lot of things right. So you
Trying.
attracted a beautiful woman who um, seems to be really great for you and you for her.
I think so. It's funny. It go back to that topic. There's a stand up comedian, and I hear his TikToks all the time. People, uh, do the lip sync of it because it's so funny and it's so true. But this guy's like, you want to find a guy that comes home after a hard day of work and just walks in the house and he's tired, but he wants to hear your story, and he's like, and he wants to listen to all your problems. And he's like, but give no solutions, even though there's a clear solution, you know.
It's
And
like right here in front of you.
right, and even every time I hear that, like I
That's
get to
hilarious.
that TikTok, I think of the 3% Man book, going,
Yeah.
yep. Do you want my advice, or do you just want me to listen? Because that's one thing too. Because like when I feel like, oh, there's a clear solution here, that instead of just trying to offer that, I try to say, well, do you want my
Do
advice?
you want opinion? Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. That concept of asking that is new to me, and I thought that was a great. I've taken that to heart, from the coach saying, "Hey, if you just ask, if you think they might want a solution, or if you have one and you're dying to give
yeah.
it, just ask it for their permission, basically, to share it with them." So I think that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Like, do you want to do you really want to know what I think, or because I'm just happy to sit here,
Yeah, and listen and, and
drink
and
it
be
all
here for
in.
that support. Right. That's right. That's right.
All
That's
right.
funny.
Well, I'm not sure if there's really too much else to talk about when it comes to the relationship stuff. I feel like there's a lot more strategy and like techniques and all this stuff when it comes to the dating portion. And a lot of guys probably come to the podcast and to the 3% Man group for advice on, well, she texted me this, like, what should I say?
Right.
But when it comes to like relationships, it's kind of like, well, act more like an adult, like
Right. Yeah.
there was a guy that posted, at the time of this recording, I think he posted in the group like maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, asking about people's experiences with like the no contact rule. And it turned out like he and his girl got in some kind of blow up argument about how like he doesn't listen or some shit. So he fucking decided to go no contact. What? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he said like they had been in a relationship for a little while too, and it's like
Oh wow.
under
Yeah.
no circumstances are you supposed to be doing that. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah, I
but
think there's a lot of misunderstanding, particularly to apply those techniques in a exclusive relationship. 'Cause I think really it's because it's such new ground for guys who find the book and they end up attracting someone because they're doing things that, like Coach says, you don't have to agree with these things, but do them and they'll work for you. Like the
mhm,
law of attraction, making the list and reading the list and writing the letter about the girl of your dreams. I did all those things pretty close to before I met Nadia,
yeah,
and so I know that those things work. But figuring out how to do that in an exclusive relationship, I think it can be tough. But I'll tell you, if you don't mind, I think real quick the things that have the techniques from the book that have worked the best for me. One simply is continuing to do the things that attracted her to me from the first place, continuing to set definite dates, to be mysterious, and by that I mean I don't tell her all the details of the date.
yeah,
And even though we tease each other about, setting mysterious dates, she loves it and she says she loves it. And I can tell that it helps with the relationship. So continuing to do those things, I think is really important. And then being very mission focused. In fact, I've been even more mission focused since we've become exclusive. I think every month almost I've become more mission focused on my particular purpose.
mhm,
And she even says that it has increased her attraction for me. So I think that's really, really important because I think when we get exclusive, because we care so much about the other person, or or so in love with the other person and they with us, then it can be just easy to spend all our time together and stop, hanging out with friends, stop going to the gym, stop doing anything else because we just enjoy each other's presence so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a very tempting pull. But those two things have been the biggest for me. And then I think other than that is just learning how to balance giving of myself and being more expressive, things we've already talked about.
Yeah. One thing too, I kind of feel like a lot of guys in the group do, and I've seen it where like they'll get into an exclusive relationship and then you just sort of see them disappear from the page because I
Right.
feel like a lot of guys, they read the book so that they can get a girl.
Yeah.
And then once they get the girl, they go back to their old habits and they stop reading the book and rereading the book like you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like that's something I definitely don't want to do. Like I want
Right.
to, and I don't want to just read the exclusive dating or the relationship part of the book either. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I'm just going to skip all that other shit.
Right.
I read it all from like, soup to nuts when it
Yep.
gets back into my rotation because I want to keep all that kind of stuff fresh in my mind because there are concepts from the initial dating world that you want to keep in an
Mm-hmm.
exclusive relationship, like setting those definite dates and
Mm-hmm.
because I mean I don't know how it is with you and Nadia, but like with Marine Corps chick, there's times where we just go to each other's house, chill,
Right.
what
Just hang out.
hang
Yeah.
out, watch TV, eat popcorn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then and that routine gets super easy.
Oh yeah.
So then I have to always keep it in my mind, like, nope, I got to take her out. I got to take her out
Mm-hmm.
this week. So that's why, like last night I took her out axe throwing.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And she had mentioned that several times,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, have you gone axe throwing? Or I went to take my kids bowling.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, did you take them axe throwing and stuff? I was like, no, I just took them bowling and stuff like that. So then I was like, she clearly wants to do this axe throwing thing.
Right.
So I decided, like, you know what, Saturday I'm going to take her axe throwing and I'm not going to tell her about it. I'm just going to say, hey, I'm taking you out Saturday. I'll pick you up at 4,
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
And then she spends the whole week going, so what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going to go? And
Yep.
then even driving there, she's like, are we doing this? Is there a fire pit there? Like, and she just starts asking very, very various
Yeah,
questions. So she
very
eventually
familiar.
gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun for them, I think, and I think
Yeah, I think so. I think they love it.
it adds a little bit of a spark, like
Mhm.
it keeps things interesting for sure.
Yes.
All right, Chris. Well, let me ask you one question. I don't know if I've asked you this before. I ask everybody.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you and I have had a one-on-one.
Yeah, I think so.
But what does being a 3% man mean to you?
I would say being a 3% man is to well, I think it's to be able to understand who you are as a man, as a person, but as a man, and to express that fully to the world. And I know that's sort of a generic or vague way to maybe say it, but I think that it really is about reaching your full potential and becoming the healthiest version of yourself with your masculinity and your mission. And then by doing that, I think then you almost naturally achieve success in whatever your mission is, and you naturally start attracting the the women of your particular dreams to you, while also I think attracting other like-minded men and just people into your life, like sort of through the law of attraction. So I think that's what it is. I think it's being someone, the rare man who understands himself and relationships and how those two things interact to create fulfillment and success in life.
Good. I think that's a good answer. That's a
Yeah.
really good one.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
There's no wrong answer. Actually, there's some
Yeah.
clearly wrong answers, but
Yeah.
so far, no one that's been on the podcast has given me one that I think is like it.
I'd be like, have you read the book?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Come on, man.
All right, Chris, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, it's been a pleasure, Paul. Really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks again for joining me, Chris. I know you're a busy guy with your new writing ventures and your YouTube channel. If you didn't know, Chris has a very good YouTube show about being a writer. I'll post a link in the show notes for that. All right, guys, we'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Come On, Man. If you're new to the podcast, I highly recommend reading How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne at least 10 to 15 times. I recommend you watch his coaching videos on YouTube, and I recommend that you engage with other 3% men in our 3% Man Facebook group. Links to all of these are in the show notes. If you like this episode, please give us a good rating on your podcast platform of choice and share with all of your bros. Now go out and get it.